I've been testing the echo for 2 weeks now. Every night I say something out loud, and 30 seconds later the same sound comes back from directly above my ceiling. Not from the hallway, not from the stairwell, from the floor above. From the room that's supposed to be empty after 5 p.m. I tested it with a cough. 30 seconds later, a cough came back. I tested it with a knock on the wall. 30 seconds later, 3 knocks from above. I tested it with my own name. 30 seconds later, my voice, my exact voice, said my name back to me. The echo rule hasn't failed once in 14 nights. I moved into this dormitory 6 months ago. Language school. I'm here to learn English. My speaking is okay, my reading is better, but there are still things I don't have words for. Smells I can't name. Feelings I can't describe. Warnings I can't fully understand. The room is small. Bed, desk, closet, window. Shared bathroom down the hall. The floor above me has been under renovation for 3 months. The building manager said it would take 2 weeks, then a month, then soon. The renovation crew arrives at 8 a.m., leaves at 5 p.m. I know because I hear them. Drills, hammers, saws, men shouting in a language I'm still learning. But the sounds don't stop at 5 p.m. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. New country, new sounds. My brain is filling in gaps. That's what brains do when they're tired and alone in a place that doesn't feel like home yet. I came here from a small town, 6,000 miles away. My family calls every Sunday. The connection is bad. Static, echoes. Sometimes the call drops and I sit there listening to nothing, waiting for a voice that won't come back. I told myself the renovation noise was just the building settling. Old pipes, old wiring, old wood expanding and contracting with the temperature. But the smell wouldn't go away. A perfume in my room. Not mine, not anyone I know. Something floral but not sweet. Something that reminded me of a word in my first language that doesn't translate. Nui la quen tuc. A stranger who feels like family, wrong and familiar at the same time. I asked the building manager about the plumbing. The hot tap runs cold. The cold tap runs warm. He said the building is old. He said pipes get confused. He changed the subject when I asked about the floor above. I asked him who lived up there before the renovation. He said no one. The floor has been empty for 2 years, but I hear footsteps at 2 a.m. I feel the doorknob every morning. I started leaving it at a specific angle, turned slightly to the left, the way my grandmother taught me when I was a child. She said it would tell me if someone had been in my room while I slept. Every morning for the past 3 weeks, the doorknob has been turned slightly to the right. Not much. Just a few degrees, but enough. 2 weeks ago, I found a note under my door, handwritten, in English. The words were simple. Don't look up after midnight. I didn't recognize the handwriting. I asked my classmates. No one admitted to writing it. The building manager said it must have been a prank. I threw the note away. That night, I looked up at 1 a.m. The ceiling was normal. White paint, a light fixture, a vent, but the vent was open. I've lived in this room for 6 months. The vent has never been open. I don't know if it opens from my side or from above. I closed it, went back to bed. The next morning, the vent was open again. I started paying closer attention to the sounds from above. Not the renovation crew, the other sounds. The ones that start after 5 p.m. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Moving from one end of the room to the other, then stopping, then starting again. Something being dragged across the floor, long and slow. Like furniture being repositioned. But there's no furniture up there. The floor is empty. The building manager said so. 3 nights ago, I heard something new. A rope. Not being dragged, being tied. The sound of fibers twisting against each other, then a thud. Then silence. I didn't look up. I remembered the note. The next morning, I found the renovation debris pile in the stairwell. Workers had left it there. Broken drywall, old pipes, splintered wood. I don't know why I looked through it. Something told me to. At the bottom of the pile, I found a rope, about 6 feet long. One end tied in a knot around a metal ring. The other end cut. Not untied. Cut. Fresh. The fibers were still loose. Beside the rope, a notebook. Water damaged. Most of the pages were illegible. But one page was still readable, written in a language I didn't recognize. Not English. Not my language. Something else. The handwriting was small, neat, and at the bottom of the page, a drawing. A room. My room. The same window placement, the same closet, the same bed. And on the ceiling, a dark shape, reaching down. I put the notebook back. I didn't take it. I didn't tell anyone. I just went back to my room and sat on my bed and stared at the vent. The echo rule started the next night. I was lying in bed, trying to sleep, when I coughed. 30 seconds later, I heard a cough from above. Not an echo. An echo repeats the same sound from the same direction. This was different. This was my cough, in my voice, coming from directly above my head. I sat up, listened. Nothing. I knocked on the wall 3 times. 3 knocks from above. Same rhythm, same spacing. I said my name. 30 seconds later, my voice said my name back to me. I've been testing it every night since. A word, a phrase, a line from a song. 30 seconds later, the same sound comes back. Always from above, always in my voice. But last night, something changed. I whispered, very quietly. "Who's there?" The response came back immediately. Not 30 seconds, not 20, not 10. Immediately. Overlapping with my own words. "Who's there?" in my voice, at the same time as I was saying it. As if whoever, whatever, is up there already knew what I was going to say. As if it had heard the words before I spoke them. I didn't sleep last night. I sat with my back against the wall, facing the vent, watching it. The vent stayed closed, but the smell came back. That perfume. The one I don't have a word for in English. The one that means Nuela Quentuk. It was coming from the vent. I called my family this morning. The call connected. My mother's voice. She asked if I was okay. I said yes. I said everything was fine. The call dropped after 3 seconds. I tried again. 3 seconds. Again. 3 seconds. Every call home for the past week has dropped after 3 seconds. I don't know if it's the signal. I don't know if it's the building. I don't know if something is listening and doesn't want me to talk to anyone who might help. I went to the local student today. The one who wrote the note, I think. She sits in the back of the classroom. She never speaks. But when I walked in this morning, she looked at me, held my gaze for a long time. Then she said something, quietly, in English. A word I had to look up later. The renovator. I asked her what she meant. She shook her head, looked down, didn't speak again. I looked up the word after class. It means a person who renovates buildings. But there's a second meaning, an old meaning, a local meaning, a thing that moves into empty spaces during construction, that hides in the noise of hammers and saws, that waits until the workers leave, and then makes the space its home. The renovation started 3 months ago. The echo started 2 weeks ago. The perfume started last week. The vents started opening last night. I'm moving out tomorrow. I found a new dormitory on the other side of the city. I packed my bags this morning. I'm writing this in my notebook while I wait for the moving truck. But last night, Before I fell asleep, I heard something new from above. Not footsteps, not dragging, not the echo of my own voice. A whisper, so quiet I almost missed it, in a language I didn't recognize. But I understood it anyway. "Don't go! We're not finished rehearsing." I'm leaving today. But the girl in the back of the classroom, the one who warned me, she's still here. And next week, a new student will move into my room. Someone who doesn't know about the vent. Someone who hasn't learned the word renovator yet. I want to tell her. I want to warn her. But I don't know enough English yet. And I'm not sure the words would help anyway. The moving truck is here. I'm walking out the door. I'm not looking back at the vent. But I can still smell the perfume. And somewhere above me, very quietly, someone is humming a tune I've never heard before. I've been running this mail route for 18 years. Same roads, same houses, same dogs chasing the truck, same people waving from their porches. I know every mailbox like the back of my hand. I know which families get the most packages in December. I know which houses to leave the truck running at because the driveway's too long. The last house on the route is set back from the road, surrounded by woods. The previous resident, old Mrs. Callahan, moved out 11 months ago, drove away on a Tuesday morning. I watched her go. She was the only person I ever saw come or go from that house in 18 years. The new resident moved in about a month after she left. I've never seen their face. Not once. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Some people are private. Some people work odd hours. Some people just don't want to talk to their mail carrier. That's fine. I don't need to be friends with everyone on my route. But the notes started about 3 months in. Every Tuesday, there would be a letter in the outgoing mailbox, addressed to me, by name, not mail carrier or postal worker, my full name, first and last. The first time I saw it, I figured someone in the neighborhood had told them. People talk. Mail carriers are easy to look up. I told myself it was probably just a thank you note. Some people are nice like that. I didn't open it. I left it in the box. Drove away. Told myself I'd grab it next Tuesday if it was still there. It wasn't. Someone had taken it. The next Tuesday, there was another one. Same envelope, same handwriting, same name. I didn't open that one either. This went on for 11 months. Every Tuesday. A letter addressed to me in the outgoing mailbox of the last house on my route. I never opened a single one. I told myself it was none of my business. I'm a mail carrier. I deliver mail. I don't read it. But last week, something changed. I pulled up to the last house like I always did. Got out of the truck, walked to the mailbox. And when I came back, I noticed the driver's seat had been pushed back. I'm 5'7". I've been 5'7" my whole adult life. I set my seat position the same way every morning. I know exactly where that seat belongs. Someone taller had been sitting in my truck. I was only inside the post office for 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Long enough to sort the outgoing, grab a cup of coffee, use the bathroom. When I came back, the seat was pushed back 2 inches. I told myself I must have bumped it getting out. Told myself the seat mechanism is old. Maybe it slipped. Told myself 12 different excuses before I even started the engine. But I couldn't stop looking at the last house. The curtains were closed, same as always. No car in the driveway, same as always. But something felt different. Something felt watched. Then I noticed the smell. Someone else's cologne. Faint. Musky. On the headrest, on the seatbelt. In the cab of my truck where no one else had been. And the seat, when I touched it, was still warm. Body warm. I put the truck in gear and finished my route. Fast. Didn't look at the last house again. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about the seat. the warmth, the smell. Kept thinking about the letters. Kept thinking about how I'd never seen the person who lives in that house. Not once in 11 months. Around 2 a.m. I got up, made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, and I made a decision. Tomorrow I was going to open one of the letters. I wish I hadn't. The next Tuesday came. I drove my route like always. When I got to the last house, the letter was there. Same envelope, same handwriting, same name. I opened it. The letter was short. One sentence. I've been watching you sleep for 11 months. I read it 3 times. 4 times. The words didn't change. I looked up at the house. The curtains were still closed. No movement. No sound. Just the woods and the mailbox and the letter in my shaking hand. I got back in the truck. I finished my route. I went home. I didn't call the police. What was I going to say? Someone wrote me a creepy letter? That's not a crime. I told myself it was a prank. Some bored kid. Some neighbor with too much time. But the seat, the warmth, the smell, they kept bothering me. The next morning, I checked my car before I left for work. Everything was fine. Doors locked, nothing missing. I told myself I was being paranoid. Then I got to the post office. The night supervisor pulled me aside, asked me why I'd been logging extra time at the end of my route. I told her I hadn't. She showed me the GPS data from my truck. According to the logs, I'd been stopping at the last house for an average of 40 minutes every Tuesday for the past 3 months. I hadn't. I stopped for maybe 2 minutes, just long enough to grab the mail and go. But the truck's GPS said otherwise. Someone had been driving my truck. Or someone had been tampering with the logs. Or something had been sitting in that driveway, in my vehicle, for 40 minutes every Tuesday. And I had no memory of it. I asked to see the security footage from the post office parking lot. The cameras cover every angle. If someone had been in my truck, the cameras would have caught them. The supervisor said she'd pull the footage, told me to come back after my route. I did my route, fast. Didn't stop at the last house, just drove past. Didn't even look at the mailbox. When I got back to the post office, the supervisor was waiting for me. Her face was pale. She said the footage from the past 3 months had been erased. Not corrupted, not overwritten, deliberately erased. Every Tuesday. Every single Tuesday at exactly the time I would have been at the last house. The rest of the week was fine, but Tuesdays, nothing. She asked me if I wanted to file a report. I said no. What would I even report? A missing seat adjustment? Letters I never opened? Footage that was gone? But I couldn't stop thinking about the letter. I've been watching you sleep for 11 months. 11 months. That's how long the new resident has been there. 11 months of Tuesdays. 11 months of letters I never opened. 11 months of someone knowing my name, my route, my schedule. And now, my truck. My seat. Still warm. I didn't go home that night. I stayed at a motel. Told myself I needed a break. Told myself I was overreacting. The next morning, I drove back to my house to grab some clothes. The front door was unlocked. I always lock it. I know I locked it. On my kitchen table, there was a letter. Same envelope, same handwriting, same name. I opened it. You didn't stop yesterday. That was rude. I'll see you next Tuesday. Same time, same place. I'll be in the back seat. I haven't been back to that house. I took a leave of absence from work. I'm staying with a friend on the other side of town. Every Tuesday, before I drive anywhere, I check the back seat. Today is Tuesday. I just found a long dark hair on the headrest. It's still warm, and I can hear breathing. Soft, very soft, from behind the seat. I don't dare turn around. I've been at this station for 4 months. Antarctic research. Winter over period. 89 days of darkness so far. The sun won't come back for another 3 months. Outside, the temperature is minus 47 degrees Celsius. Inside, it's warm enough that you forget what cold feels like, until you step near a window. There are 4 of us on the base during winter. Me, the lead researcher, 2 technicians, and my colleague. The one who's been acting different for 6 weeks now. Let me start at the beginning. I'm an atmospheric research technician. I've done 3 winter rovers before this one. I know what isolation does to people. I know about the irritability, the sleep disturbances, the way small things become big things when you're trapped in a metal box with the same 3 faces every day. I know the signs. That's why I didn't pay attention at first. 6 weeks ago, the drilling team went deeper than planned. They were supposed to stop at 200 meters. They went to 240. Found something interesting in the core samples, or so they said. They didn't show me the samples. They were gone the next day. Back to the main station. Left the 4 of us alone with the ice. That's when things started to change. My colleague, let's call him Anders, started complaining about the cold. Not the outside cold, the inside cold. He said his room was freezing, said the heater must be broken. I checked his room. The thermostat read 22 degrees. Normal. Comfortable. He was wearing a winter coat inside. I told myself he was getting sick. Flu does weird things to your body temperature regulation. It's happened before on other winter rovers. I gave him some cold medicine. Told him to rest. The next morning, the space heater in his room was turned to maximum. The room was sweltering. He was sitting on his bed in that same winter coat. Said he was still cold. His breath was fogging in the air. Indoors. At 22 degrees. That's not how physics works. I started paying closer attention after that. Not because I was worried, because I'm a scientist. I track data. I notice anomalies. That's my job. The base thermostat records temperature every hour. I pulled the logs for the past 6 weeks. There was a cold spot in the corridor outside Anders' room. Every night at 3:11 a.m., temperature dropped by 8 degrees, lasted exactly 17 minutes, then returned to normal. The same time, every night, for 6 weeks. I asked Anders if he'd noticed anything strange at night. He looked at me for a long time. His eyes, they were tired. More than tired. Something else. He said, "The ice talks at night." Then he laughed. Said it was a joke. Said everyone on the ice says that. I didn't laugh. The next week, I started finding things. A warm mug in the common room. Still warm when I got back from the instrument array. No one had been in the common room. Anders doesn't drink hot drinks anymore. He says they don't warm him up. A chair pushed in at an angle that no one uses. The one in the corner. The one Anders never sits in. When I touched the seat, it was warm. Body warm. Anders was in his room when I checked. Door closed. He didn't come out. I didn't know what to do with that. So I did what I always do. I logged it, filed it, moved on. That was my mistake. 2 nights ago, I couldn't sleep. The base was quiet. Too quiet. The wind outside had stopped, which never happens here. When the wind stops in Antarctica, the silence is total. It presses against your ears. I got up to check the instruments. The corridor outside Anders' room was cold. Not draft cold. Wrong cold. The kind of cold that comes from something, not from the absence of heat. I put my hand on his door. The metal was freezing. I opened it. The room was empty. The bed was made. The heater was off. But the window, the small, triple-paned window that looks out onto the ice, was covered in frost. On the inside. At minus 47 outside, The inside of that window should never frost. Not with the heater running. Not with the room sealed. But there was writing in the frost. 2 words. In handwriting I didn't recognize. In English. Which is not Anders's first language. "Come down." I backed out of the room. Closed the door. Went to the common room. Poured myself coffee. Sat down. My hands were shaking. Not from cold. I told myself I was exhausted. Polar night does things to perception. I've read the literature. I know the symptoms. I'm a scientist. I don't believe in whatever that was. But I couldn't stop thinking about the drilling. 240 meters. The core samples they wouldn't show me. The way the drilling team left so fast. I went to the storage locker. The one where they kept the samples before they left. The lock was broken. Not forced. Broken from the inside. Inside the locker there was nothing. Just a notebook. And a thermos. The thermos was warm. I opened the notebook. It belonged to one of the drillers. The entries were normal for the first few pages. Depths, temperatures, ice composition. Then, about halfway through, the handwriting changed. Not the style, the content. We heard something at 220 meters. Not drilling noise, not ice settling. A voice, coming from below. Like someone was speaking through the ice. The next page. 230 meters. The voice is clearer now. It's not speaking any language we know, but we understand it anyway. The next page. 240 meters. We shouldn't have gone deeper. It knows we're here now. It's asking us to come down. The last page was blank except for one word. Written in the same frost writing as Anders's window. Down. I closed the notebook. Put it back in the locker. Left the thermos where it was. I went to find Anders. He wasn't in his room. Wasn't in the common room. Wasn't in the lab. The door to the ice core storage was open. The one that leads to the subglacial access shaft. The shaft goes down 200 meters. There's a ladder. It's supposed to be locked. It wasn't. I called Anders's name. No answer. I called again. Nothing. Then I heard something from the shaft. Breathing. Slow. Deep. Coming from below. And then a voice. Not Anders's voice. Something else. Something that sounded like it was speaking through ice. "You're cold up there. Come down. We'll keep you warm." I ran. I locked the door. I went to the communications room. The radio was dead. Not broken. Dead. Like something had drained the power. I checked the emergency transmitter. Dead too. The backup generator? Dead. Everything that could reach the outside world. Gone. I've been sitting in the control room for 3 hours now. The door to the ice core storage is still locked. But I can hear movement in the corridor. Slow. Heavy. Irregular. Anders, or whatever is wearing Anders, is walking past my door. Every few minutes, it stops. Right outside. I hear it breathe, and then it whispers. "You're the only warm one left. Don't you want to come down? It's so cold up there." I don't know how long the door will hold. I don't know if anyone is coming. The next supply flight isn't for 3 months, but I keep checking the temperature log. Every night at 3:11 a.m., the cold spot in the corridor gets closer to my room. Last night, it was at my door. Tonight, I think it's inside.